And as the Honorable S.T. Muna said in AAC 1, that they had never signed any agreement with La Republique du Cameroun to engage the two parties as one. The UN Charter also specifies that if a member state of the UN is going to join another territory, the two parties must reduce their intentions in a written agreement, sign it, and file a copy at the UN. There is no agreement in the archives of the UN. So, this is, as we call it in pidgin English, a Jumba arrangement, social concubinage, where a man and a woman stay together without any rules or regulations or without any person duly authorized to unite them into one. So it is a great fallacy for anyone to say that La Republique du Cameroun and Southern Cameroon are one and indivisible. That's no, it's just trying to cover up the crime of colonization, which is abhorred by the United Nations, which as far back as 1960 ruled in resolution 1514 of 14th of December 1960 that colonialism is evil, people should be granted unconditional independence, whether or not they are poor or whether or not they are educated, because they were there before the colonial master came to colonize them. The very next day, against murmurs by Great Britain, they defined the UN General Assembly, which is the ultimate authority, defined what is meant by independence by joining when a small member state by itself is unable to have its defense, embassies around the world, proper administrative service, and so on. They said if the small state by itself, otherwise entitled to independence, feels it is deficient in some respects, it could join a neighboring state in one of two ways, either by association or by integration. And the resolution defines what is meant by each of those means of joining. They say if they are going to join by way of association, the small joining territory keeps its territorial integrity, keeps its constitution, which it is free to amend without reference to the big brother they are joining, to emphasize that they were entitled to independence in their own right, but relates to the big brother in perhaps a federal setup, which would be a joint venture between the two parties, and that will spell out how powers would be shared. They said that is one way. The other way is by integration. If the two parties decide to join by way of integration, they share the three powers of government equally. That is, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And the resolution went on to say that if there is only one president for the integrated unit, that post alternates from one side to the other. In other words, if the president comes from East Cameroon this term, next term he comes from Southern Cameroon. And also for judicial equality, both sides had to produce an equal number of judges and magistrates throughout the integrated territory. And if there was only one Chief Justice, that post of Chief Justice of the Supreme Court also alternated in like manner. And as I've dealt with the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. Now, if the people in the federal legislature are proportionate to population, the number of delegates representing Southern Cameroon would be few. The UN resolution specifies that in that event, those few people will have a veto power on all legislation before it is passed. This is the procedure practiced between, I think it's Tanganyika and the island of Zanzibar. That's why the new country is now called Tanzania. And they practice this formula of independence by joining, whereby it is a rotation of power for over half a century. No Southern Cameroonian has been president. No Southern Cameroonian has been president of the Supreme Court. And in the legislature, there is no provision whereby laws could only be passed with the concurrence of the representatives of the minority state. So it is a monumental fraud. And the reasons why I have been house arrested 3 times is because I know these things. I've lived through them. Before La Republique got independence on 1st of January 1960, I had qualified in this city of London 3 years in advance. I was an adult Cameroonian. I had started having children. So I know this story inside out like a book. Those of you born subsequently have been misled into wrong historical records by people who were not there. I am here. And probably God Almighty has kept me alive so that I could make the truth available to all Cameroonians. So please, even the people of East Cameroon would be scandalized to hear that these were the basic things which should have been done. And they should urge their president that the plebiscite of 11 February 1961 was a request by the United Nations to ask the people of Southern Cameroon whether they intended to join Nigeria or La Republique du Cameroun. The result of the plebiscite was the reply the people of Southern Cameroon gave to the United Nations, because we were UN territory. It's like a father having a daughter, and 2 of you come along and you are interested in marrying it. The father is free to call his daughter and ask her, of these 2 people, whom shall you marry? If the daughter gives that reply, it is the reply to her father. It has nothing to do with a possible marriage of one of the parties who are interested in the marriage. So the vote of the plebiscite of 11th February 1961 was a reply to the United Nations because they conducted the plebiscite. That was the answer of the people that we would prefer to join La Republique du Cameroun as opposed to Nigeria. That was not an act of marriage between La Republique du Cameroun and Southern Cameroon. It was the answer to a private discussion between the father and his only beloved daughter as to which of 2 suitors she would marry. It is after that reply that the person selected will be invited to come and see the old man and start the negotiation of matrimony. So it is foolhardy for anyone to say, oh, after all, you voted to join La Republique du Cameroun. La Republique du Cameroun was no party to this vote. Indeed, the people of La Republique du Cameroun had never voted to join Southern Cameroon. It was merely their representative who was speaking on behalf of La République du Cameroun. So again, it is little idiomatic tricks like this, which are often said openly, oh, after all, you voted to join La République du Cameroun. How does the answer of a young lady to her father as to which person she would prefer to get married to constitute an act of marriage to any of those people? It doesn't begin until after she had indicated and the person has come forward to commence the matrimonial arrangements. I do hope that young Cameroonians will have a greater insight into what is often broadcast as the basis for this infringement of the UN Charter by La République du Cameroun, colonizing the people and territory of southern Cameroon.
So actually, if one listens to you, one would easily deduce that southern Cameroon is a colonial master, and that that La République du Cameroun is a colonial master,
yes,
and that southern Cameroon is a colony.
Yes.
And if that is the case, then we southern Cameroonians at this issue should be ashamed of ourselves.
We should be, because the UN, which is the governing law of the world, had resolved in Resolution 1608 that southern Cameroon will be independent as from 1st of October 1961. La République was present at the meeting, and they actually opposed that resolution. But the majority of the people said, no, everybody must have his independence. And that is why they went on to say that, well, if you are too feeble to carry all the burdens of independence, you could be deemed to have attained the full measure of self-government by joining a neighboring sovereign state in one of two ways, either by association or integration, as I had earlier explained. But none of those things have happened in half a century. So it is crystal clear to me that any fair-minded person will agree that La République du Cameroun is colonizing the people and territory of southern Cameroon.
Thank you very much. Here's a question from Epie Njume Harvey. And he says, how are you going to manage the issue of double nationality or dual nationality? And how are you going to integrate the other Anglophone political parties that have different views?
Well, I will begin by appealing as an elderly statesman to all the political or other nationalist groups that the solution to all our problems is to be given the opportunity to manage our own affairs. So long as we do not manage our own affairs and somebody else is managing them for us, there will be discontent. Oh, this man has not given me this, he's giving the other party. But this will lead us nowhere. So the priority is for us to band ourselves together, not with guns to kill anybody, but merely to sign pieces of paper. Because you would attempt to hold rallies to tell the people this, the oppressor will say, I control the army, you will not do it, otherwise I will send you to prison. But they do not control anybody to take a piece of paper and express his intention. And that is what I expect southern Cameroonians, northwest and southwest, forget about the past. If there were any problems, those problems died with the people who caused them. We are now here. We need to set a pattern of good life for ourselves and for our children. And the culture we have been brought up in, that government can be altered. It is unknown on the other side. They will falsify the results. Dr. Endele, he was in power. He didn't falsify the results. Dr. Foncha beat him, and there was a smooth transition of power. It has never occurred, or the other side, La Republique du Cameroun, has no experience in the smooth transition of power. And they will do anything possible to keep power. So the thing is in our hands. And I do hope that particularly the young Cameroonians who still have their lives to lead will listen and join in this chorus of signing just a piece of paper so that they could also begin to enjoy life more abundant and to be equal citizens and look at anyone in the face like La Republicans would look onto themselves. One last point. Even the so-called Constitution, which was promulgated on 1st of September 1961, in Article 47, it provided that the federation which was being created, this was a lie, no federation was being created, cannot be broken, and any attempt to destroy the unity of the federation is inadmissible. Even if, for the sake of argument, a federation was created and there was none, this was La Republique du Cameroun talking to itself. And he said that ultimate power belongs to the people. Who are the people? It was the people of East Cameroon whose constitution was being amended and promulgated on 1st of September 1961. It doesn't concern people of southern Cameroon who were no part of that territory at that time. It is a serious matter, and it shows horrible intellectual ingenuity.
Yeah, Mola, so many Cameroonians are not aware of the progress that has been made so far by NCNC. So somebody like MCH Projector is asking what progresses so far have been made to free Southern Cameroon from the Republic of Cameroon, and is asking again, what are the challenges and the way forward?
Well, the most peaceful way is, for the time being, to respect the rule of law of the colonial master who is sitting over southern Cameroon. There is nothing in the law saying that if you are a southern Cameroonian, you cannot write a letter in your own hand and send it to somebody else. So there will be no major public rallies. It will go by word of mouth, and all the weapons which southern Cameroonians need to free themselves is a pen and paper to say, we are dissatisfied with what our colonial master is doing now. We were granted our own independence, which has been suppressed. We want our independence for the reason that the arrangement of the colonizer in saying that we were united by law number 24/61, which was promulgated on 1st of September 1961, is at variance with Article 103 of the UN Charter, which says that to the extent to which a state is a member of the United Nations, any law it passes which is at variance with the provisions of the Charter is invalid. So whatever laws that La Republique du Cameroun may have passed, showing this criminal ingenuity, are invalid. We don't want a fight with them. We only want them to respect the rule of law. If they expect Cameroonians to respect the laws they pass, they too, as members of the world, member of the United Nations, have got to respect the rule of law. Otherwise, if there is no rule of law, the whole world will burn overnight, because people will just do what they intend to do.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to thank the people who have posed the questions to me, Mr. Abraham Johnson, Mr. Solomon Ate, Mr. Elume Fidel Ewan, Mr. Mba Lucas, Mr. Munata, Vicky Fokala. That looks like a girl.
Yes.
Yes, it's the only...
Everybody is interested.
Yes.
Not just male.
Yes. Vicky Fokala, thank you very much. Lionel Mesumbe, Amoe Nsome Bwambi, M. Projector, APN Jume, and the
Mark Barretta.
Mark Barretta.
Yes,
that is the
main guy.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, the organizer of this.
Okay. Thank you all very much. I'm glad we are all lending support to free the people of Southern Cameroons, over whom the UN in Resolution 1608 fixed the date when they were to gain independence. All attempts to celebrate that date have been rolled over by La Republique du Cameroun in order to extinguish any idea, because La Republique voted against that resolution at the United Nations. That should have ended the discussion, but it was expected that in a democratic society, if you hold a minority view and the majority overrules, you follow what the majority has said. From that date, La Republique du Cameroun vowed never to allow Southern Cameroon to be an independent state. And have tried by all manner of tricks and maneuvers to suppress the independence of the people of Southern Cameroon.
Thank you very much.
I'll take it away.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.